Good evening, welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is the Marion City Council meeting for Thursday, March 5th. Please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Roll call, please.
Mr. Newman.
Present.
Mr. Newman.
Present.
Mr. Jensen.
Here.
Mayor Mawasli.
Present.
Mr. Brandt.
Here.
Ms. Menzer. Here. Mr. Hubbard.
Here. Thank you. This time we have a moment of silence. Thank you. First item on the agenda this evening is a proclamation in honor of Women's History Month. I'll read the proclamation. Whereas in 1977, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution calling on member states to proclaim a day for women's rights and international peace. And whereas women of every background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of our nation, our state, and our city in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. And whereas women lead and play critical economic, political, cultural, and social roles in our nation, state, and city, and have been at the forefront of major progressive social change movements. And whereas the 2026 theme for Women's History Month is leading the change, women shaping a sustainable future, which highlights the pivotal role women play in building a more equitable, resilient, and sustainable future. And whereas Women's History Month provides opportunities to recognize the progress in advancing women's equality, celebrate the achievements of women and girls, and raise awareness of the social, economic, and environmental barriers still facing women and girls today. And whereas all societies should work together to secure the rights and full potential of all people in order to achieve lasting solutions to social, economic, and environmental problems. Now therefore, I, Nicholas Mawasli, Mayor of the City of Marion, Iowa, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2026 as Women's History Month in the City of Marion, and encourage all residents to observe this month, celebrate the achievements of women and girls, and support efforts to promote advancement toward equality for all people. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is our first public forum. There are two public forums at our meetings. The first is for items that are listed on the agenda but not associated with the public hearing. And there will be another public hearing section toward the end of the meeting for all other comments. I'll read the rules of procedure for participation in the public forum. Anyone wishing to address the council should complete the yellow card at the end of the table near the door and hand it to the clerk before speaking. Once you're called forward, please step up to the podium and state your name and group affiliation. Please speak into the microphone as the meetings are recorded. All persons wishing to speak will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to make their comments. Please do not engage in any conduct or speech that is imminently threatening to any person, which incites violence or which is obscene. Please refrain from making any disparaging remarks regarding any individual to keep comments pertinent to the topic. Please avoid repeating comments or points that have been made by previous speakers. Please do not engage in conduct that disrupts the orderly progress of the meeting or engage in speech or conduct which interferes with others' ability to participate in the meeting. Failure to adhere to these guidelines or engaging in any disruptive speech or behavior will, after a warning, result in the removal from the meeting. We appreciate everyone's cooperation and adhering to these guidelines. The first public forum is now open, which is a time to address council on any topic that is listed on the agenda but not associated with a public hearing. Any comments regarding a public hearing can be taken during that public hearing. Please come forward if you are here to address council on any topic that is on the agenda but not part of the public hearing.
Hello, my name is Laura Indra. I wanted to make a comment about the rezoning east of 31st Street. I am disappointed that none of that space was reserved for public use.
Laura, there's a dedicated public hearing for that item.
I apologize, but I do need to get going. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no one is coming forward, we'll close this part of the meeting, proceed to the consent agenda.
Yes, Your Honor, I move to approve items A1 through F2. Resolutions 32749 through 32757.
Second.
So moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented, including items A1 through F2, resolutions 32749 through 32757. Discussion. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. The next item is a public hearing on a proposed development agreement with the private developer, authorizing annual appropriation tax increment payments and pledging certain tax increment revenues to the payment of the agreement. This is for the former library site redevelopment. We have a presentation before the public hearing, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Marion. We're excited to be here tonight to start the work that we've been doing with the old library site. So tonight we start with the public hearing and then there'll be a resolution that will follow after that. Just to give everyone kind of a reminder of what this project is about, is a mixed use, both commercial and residential. They have estimated construction to start in December, this is the 31st of 2028. We do have some incentives that go along with this project, which is the land and then a grant up to $1 million within 100% rebate for 20 years. The grant, as a reminder, is only if needed. This is something that they have the ability to apply for workforce housing grant dollars and that of Grayfield as well. So this again is just, they may need it or may not need it. So we'll work through that as they work through their project. The minimum assessment is estimated at $17.8 million. And we do have a few pictures of the renderings here. And then the resolution just kind of will solidify that. We do have the drone group here tonight, and then we also have Mike Almadeer from Kilworth. So if you have any additional questions for them, Mike is actually on virtual with us.
Okay, thank you. Public hearing is now open. If anyone's here to address council on this topic, please come forward, either in favor or in opposition. Did Mr. Alvin here want to comment?
I believe so. We're, Mike, you just unmute, be able to see.
Oh, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. We can.
Hello?
Welcome. While we're waiting, is there anyone else who would like to address council? Please come forward. We'll ask the staff if we received any comments outside the meeting. Yeah.
I have not received anything.
Okay, did he present? Doesn't? Okay, note that for the record. Is he able to speak now?
You should be able to.
Okay, yes, hello. So this is Mike Almendinger with the Kilborn Group, uh, based out of Fargo, uh, and John Gronin and Nancy are with the Gronin Company, based out of Dubuque. They are also in the room tonight as well. So we're really excited uh, to have the opportunity to develop this project. It's one that we've been working on with the city of Marion for quite some time in Uptown, and we've spent a lot of time researching what is the best design and best use. We received a lot of community impact and excited about this. The highlights have been covered, here with the rendering and by Kim, so that's great. I can't see who's presenting for sure, so I'm assuming that was Kim presenting. So I guess I would just, I'll definitely open it up for any questions that you all have. But first off, I would just cover some of the highlights with you. This project would include 12,000 square feet of retail that we think will be really in a great location and add to the already very vibrant Uptown district. We have 63 for rent apartment units. We would have 68 indoor parking spaces for the residents that live there. And then we would also have additional 60, we'd have 63 outdoor surface parking spots as well. For those surface parking stalls, some of them will be used for the residents that live there, and then we'll also be using some of those for the retail businesses that are there as well. It's going to be really important that we manage parking in a very vibrant uptown district. We know that there's parking demand, so we have talked to other community members about this, and we've learned about the Partners in Parking program, for example, and just ways that how this project can support the overall district's need for parking, and we want to make sure we're a good partner in that as well. With that, I guess I would just open it up to any questions that you have.
Any council members have questions for Mr. Allen? Okay, thank you, Mike. Anyone else that would like to address council on this matter before we close the public hearing? Okay, with that, we'll close the public hearing, proceed to the resolution.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 32758, approving development agreement with the private developer authorizing annual appropriation tax increment payments, pledging certain tax increment revenues to the payment of the agreement. This is for the former library site located at 1095 6th Avenue.
Second. It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 32758. Any discussion? Yes, go ahead.
I just didn't know if I was supposed to really ask you the public hearing portion, but I know it says here construction by December 31st, 2028, but do we have a more specific estimated like tentative timeline when construction will be started?
Yes, I can answer that.
Cool.
So our plans are to be applying for some of the state of Iowa tax credits through this summer, and our goal will be to be starting construction by December of 2026, and then that would leave us what we're expecting to be about 15 to 18 months to build the project. Of course, we're leaving a little bit of a buffer in here in case something needs to be for some reason that we need to extend it for approximately maybe 6 months. But our goal is to be breaking ground in 2026.
Thank you.
Then I just one additional comment. We're gonna talk about this project in a minute. Really excited to have some more commercial space right uptown, build up that square, and I don't know if anything's been discussed with what's sort of tenants in the commercial space, but this is just my personal advocacy of hoping that we can still have discussions and find ways to have some sort of grocery option in the uptown area. That's wonderful. So just want to throw that out there if people are talking about it.
That's certainly one of the things being considered. Anyone else with discussion items?
Just a comment, I'm pleased to hear, the accommodation made for in-building and also surface parking. I think that was an essential, component in our mind, and I just wanted to say, I'm glad that's been responded to. Thank you.
Mouse?
Great.
I would just add that the development group has been, very collaborative with us, listening to what we, we're saying, and, involved us all along the way in designing and planning this project, so that should be a good project for the community. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll vote. All those in favor of approving resolution number 32758, please say aye. All those opposed, please say no.
Aye.
The motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 2603, amending chapter 122 of the Marion Code of Ordinance regarding regulation for electric bikes and schools operation.
Second.
And moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 26-03, amending chapter 122 of the Code of Ordinances regarding regulations for electric bikes and scooters. Any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Probably also a question. I feel really bad on this because we're the people who pushed to have this discussion and the research and really look at the problem that had been brought to us by a number of community members. I talked on Tuesday about how I really feel that 15 for these is the correct speed, and I know that we're looking at what everybody else is doing to be regional about it, but I really feel firm that it's like cars, you say 15, people go 20, you go 20, people go 25. Now we're on the Tour de France races. So I think my question then is, I have to go against the whole thing, correct, because of the speed. If I'm opposed to the speed on this, I either have to, I can't. Knowing.
The city attorney respond to that, please.
Yes, you would be voting as a whole, so you would either vote in favor for the entire ordinance or against the entire ordinance.
Okay, and can someone remind me, well, the screen is on me. When is our review date on this? Do we have a set review date? And we're gonna look at statistics of what's happened since we implemented it.
So with new ordinances, we will do a review process, and we'll bring that up based on quarterly as we're going through it for the summer. So we will certainly bring it back for council as an update, and then we'll also do a review for the whole year. So
With the opportunity to adjust that. So I say, I'm really getting a lot of heartburn on this, and I know it sounds silly, but there's a big difference between that, and we do not have, these are not speedways, these are in community trails. The average person rides 13 miles an hour, and now we're saying you can go 20. We are asking for trouble, and it's gonna go beyond etiquette, so. Just want us to put that on the record, that's where my angst is on this. But I appreciate the department's research and all the staff that he's done to go from zero as far as having we have nothing to looking at this problem, because I know there's not an easy fix for it, so. Thank you.
Councilman Jensen.
So we've talked about one of the major aspects of biking on the trails and the related speed is the biking etiquette by the riders. So if that's going to be one of the major, in my opinion, one of the major components of how well they do on the trails is biking etiquette. Do we have plans in place for this spring and early summer to roll out some programs through the library, through the police, wherever, so that we are at least having biking etiquette educational classes available?
So we are gonna have a communication plan, going forward, for this. We'll have signage. We're also working with trail association groups on that education, piece. And we're also using our city channels, Marion Messenger, to be able to push out some of the trail etiquette. We would certainly, collaborate with police, fire, and if there's those opportunities. And there's also some great organizations to be able to partner, to be able to roll it out. As part of this process through the year, we'll bring those groups together to, really have an informative education plan as part of it.
Yeah, I understand Councilman Metzger's concern about the speed, but again, I come down to the etiquette and how well they do on that part. To me, that's gonna be one of the primary components of the success of this new ordinance. All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
Question about the speed limit. I wish I would have, thought about this on Tuesday's work session. This is a question, I think, for Mike. Do we have in town posted 20-mile-an-hour streets?
In the uptown, I believe we do have maybe it's either 20 or 25, I would have to verify.
Uptown is 20. Okay, so the connection that I'm trying to make here is that's for large vehicular traffic, a speed limit. And equating that to what would be then, multi-use trails. Since the, work session, I've really, started also to think more about the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. I know this is our initial consideration, and as I said, we have a metropolitan planning organization meeting next week that I will want to drive some dialogue with that group, perhaps maybe maybe the simple means to either change my opinion or maybe inform our future considerations of this. So I am just concerned that maybe that 20-mile-an-hour upon secondary consideration is really at a truly an upper anything should ever.
Councilmember Skinner.
Yeah, just a quick question. I should have thought of this and asked it last time we were talking about this. Is 6th Avenue where the trail connects to the sidewalk all the way down that stretch, is that considered a sidewalk or path? So that would be considered what is called a side path. So it's a trail that parallels the street. So that's why in our code here, we're differentiating it by saying 6 foot or wider is a multi-purpose. Yes.
Anyone else? Okay. All those in favor of approving ordinance number 26-030. Please signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 26-02, amending chapter 218 of the Marion Code of Ordinances relating to the noise exemptions, and this is the final consideration.
It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 26-02. Amending chapter 218 of the Code of Ordinances relating to noise exemptions. Discussion, this is the final consideration. All those in favor of approving ordinance number 26-02, final consideration, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved.
Mayor, sorry, before we continue, the next two items are actually gonna be pulled from the agenda.
Okay, so we won't be taking these up this evening.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I do have a brief statement just as means of
Please, go ahead.
escalation. Just to update you, previously this week, I had sent out a communication about this matter. Since that time, police have obtained their survey, and it was in conflict with ours. So at the current time, our surveyors and their surveyors have been working together to establish what they believe is the most appropriate boundary line. And we will be working with them and with Mr. DeLeon with all of this matter.
Okay. So we'll take this item up again, and update in the future after that's resolved. Okay, cool. Moving on to D4.
Yes, Your Honor, I move to approve ordinance number 26-04, amending chapter 313 4.4 of the Code of Ordinances, establishing the speed limits on Highway US 151 in Iowa 13. This is our initial consideration.
Second,
Been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 26-04. Amending chapter 313 4.4 of the Code of Ordinances, establishing the speed limits on Highway US 151 and Iowa 13. Discussion? All those in favor of ordinance number 26-04, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. Next item is a public hearing on the 2026 HMA resurfacing project. We have a presentation.
Yes, Your Honor. So this is our annual program for the hot mix asphalt or HMA program. We did have one bidder for this project, LL Pelling, at $2,127,964, which was 99.9% of the engineer's estimate. Does have a completion date of September 25th of 26. $300 per day in calendar day for liquidated damages. And I won't read all of the streets, but you can see there, we are hitting a large section of streets. And then to kind of give you a picture of it, all the streets there you see in red are the streets that are gonna be hit with that this year. So we are recommending proceeding with the project and the bid.
Thank you, Mike. This time the public hearing is open. If anyone's here to address council, either in favor or in opposition to this measure, please come forward. We'll ask the staff if anyone's submitted comments outside the meeting.
I have not received any.
We have not.
Please note that for the record. We'll close the public hearing. For the next two items, I will turn over the meeting to the Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve project calendar regarding the 2026 HMA resurfacing project as follows. Resolutions 32759 through 32760.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the project calendar regarding the 2026 HMA resurfacing project. Are there any comments or questions about this issue? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the project calendar for the HMA project, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 3276, approving the location of 15-foot access easement along the southern property line of Block 3, Bonds First Addition, 560 31st Street, Marion, Iowa.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 32761 regarding the vacation of a 15-foot access easement. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving resolution number 32761, please say aye.
Some of the tenants around you to talk or no, you have to check in, I'm sorry, with our attorney.
Excuse me, sir?
I'm one of the property owners in that area. And we would like to say something before you vote over us.
This is not the section to make comments. You had that opportunity to do so in the very first public forum.
But we never have had one, I just got a verbal call less than a week ago.
We weren't there until we saw that there was even, being requested, because it didn't get any notice.
Okay, Kara?
The public forum to speak on this matter was the public forum that was at the beginning of the hearing. So that was your opportunity, but then we know
We didn't know what that was.
we have no problem having you come up this time, we'll make an exception. I understand the confusion, sir. So if you'd like to come up and make your comment at this time, please come forward. Please give your name and address and fill out a yellow sheet before you leave.
Okay.
Thank you.
With me here is Gary Hagan, one of the owners of Lot 2 on that map, which is immediately west of the property requesting the easement apparently. I'm Dennis Naughton. I'm at 2410 Grand Avenue Southeast. I'm an attorney representing Economy Auto. By way of background, Economy Auto was located in 7th Avenue, right across from Walgreens drugstore during the duration when the roof was blown up in their building, and the city told us they didn't want anybody doing auto repair in downtown Marion because it was contrary to the development plan for the city. So with the help of city officials, and several of them, we were able to locate this location at Lot 2, and the building for repairing automobiles, and we moved in there and bought the property from Town Barnes, E&B Properties, and there was an easement there at the time. Before we bought the property, we actually located in Lot 3 and renting from Town Barnes. And the easement was always used and in place, although my client doesn't use the easement, but for one purpose, and that is to be an access for semi trucks that come to both Lot 2 and the property to the west, which is also a Barnes property, which he currently leases out. And the second use of the easement is by city staff at the water department, which is directly across to the south of Lot 2. So essentially what we were never given a written notice of any kind, what was really requested until we got here tonight. So what we would like to do is ask you to consider, one, it would limit the access of fire trucks to that area since the 30th Street is a dead end and is occupied by vehicles and parking for the property to the west of us. And so the only reason we feel it's important is that there isn't very reasonable access for the loading and unloading of shipping that comes in there for my client and for the properties on the west side of 30th Street on both the city portion of the southern part of the block or the northern part of the block, which is a dead end. And the problem is that if you will notice on the easement there, the 29th Street has trees over covering the street, so semi trucks cannot get into the easement, the property with the easement in that direction. The access to 30th Street by the water department has big, huge stones about at least the size of the counter in front of you on both sides of the street, so that it's difficult for a semi truck to make that corner as well. And so if a truck now would be coming to that property and not be able to use that easement, then they'd have to park in the street and block it. Sometimes the property west of us will have a semi come in and they have to unload the entire semi. They'll take a half a day to do that at least.
There's 1 minute remaining.
Sorry.
1 minute remaining.
Thank you. So we just would respectfully request that you consider that in voting tonight, because it would be very inconvenient for us after the city is the ones who told us to move there to begin with, and we appreciated that at the time because our business was closed. And so That's all we would like to offer, is that it might be prudent not to do. The other thing you might consider is the city uses that same easement to access their water tower. And if it's closed, then the city may not have access to the east side of the water tower, which they use frequently. Semi trucks come about once a week to that location, and we'd rather not take parking.
If I might add, it's not just our business, there's two other businesses, and this is just a good example of a picture of a full over-the-road coach. Pardon?
Time is up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very
I
much.
just want to clarify that you're talking about the building just on the west side of the green line.
Correct. That's mine, yeah, that one belongs to me, yes, sir.
That's what I'm talking about as far as deliveries.
Yes, well, and the property to the west of us and the property to the south of them also are businesses that have trucks once a week come through at least.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so now we've got some additional information about this issue and the easement, so these gentlemen are talking about a concern. If this easement is allowed, that truck traffic and deliveries would not be able to be made as easily to the buildings to the west side of the property that is requesting the easement. So comments or discussion regarding that? Brent?
Thank you. Not sure who best can answer this, but can you describe, can somebody, maybe you or Nicole, describe the nature of 30th Street to the south? Is it at grade with all of the adjacent property? Is there through the water department's parking lot? Are there any significant obstructions that would prevent truck traffic servicing the businesses that are on the north aspect of this overall area?
I can't speak to the grade changes there. As you know, there is island that got vegetation in it within the 30th Street area. With this, as mentioned in the staff report, that 15-foot access was like their more emergency service access to the west. And until semi-recently, there had been a chain across there, so the truck delivery traffic, they were using other methods to get back into that area.
Okay, so I understand at this point that easement was put in place to ensure we had emergency access into those properties.
Correct. That was the initial intent requested by the fire department.
Okay.
Back in
In when?
in 2021. With the final plat.
Okay, it seems like we're going back in a sense.
Today, speaking with the fire department, they didn't feel that access easement was necessary for their services. That they could utilize 30th Street. And they're gonna go where they need to go. If they need to access that, they could go down that direction. But they do have that 30th Street that they felt they could utilize to get back to those properties to the west there.
Okay, I feel bad that, and maybe I was remiss in not interrogating this a little bit more, but that I think emergency access is certainly material to me. Okay, thank you. Is there any time sensitivity with this item?
There's not that I'm aware of, from the property owner. I know his main concern is safety with the amount of cut through traffic that is occurring. There is a lot more activity on the site than there used to be. Just due to the nature of his business.
Okay, one last question. And I lost the man, but there is. Well, for the sake of time, I just have some increasing number of questions here. I'm really of the opinion if we could table this for one cycle and come return to it, just so that we can do some additional examination. I'd like to have some, Chief, I'd like to have some discussion with you, given our recent emergency access conversations we've had. And so I'd like to make a motion to table this until the next meeting.
Okay, we've got a motion to table. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to table resolution number 32761. So is there any discussion on that motion? Okay, so let's vote on tabling resolution number 32761. Those in favor of tabling, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. We have one abstention. The motion is approved to table resolution number 32761.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is a public hearing on this rezoning of property from Lynn County agricultural to high-density multifamily residential and community business. The property is north of Highway 100, south of Union Road, and east of South 31st Street. Do you have a presentation?
Yes, Your Honor. So the applicants are seeking to zone the approximately 108 acres of property highlighted there on the screen. It's just north of Highway 100 and the east of South 31st Street. This is part of the final step in the process of the annexation that was officially completed back in December of this last year. So the request is for the MR2 high density multifamily residential and BC community business. So on the left hand side here of the screen, we've got the Marion 2045 comp plan future land use map, and on the right side is the building districts. The requests for that MR2 and BC are based off of this future land use map on the left side. Again, we've got that high intensity for the land use, starting at the north side, going down to mixed use in the center and commercial down along the highway. The comp plan was adopted last March, and that process did include a great deal of public input opportunities that were considered as we looked at the entire city land use. As far as the future mobility map within the comprehensive plan, South 31st Street is considered to be a collector road, and then 3050, yes, I said South 31st Street, and 35th Street, and extended would be considered as a major arterial. So collectors, their intent is to provide access between residential and kind of commercial areas while distributing it also to arterial streets. And for major arterial, the intent of those road classifications are to carry higher volumes of traffic through urban areas and to destinations. So Tuesday, I kind of did a brief overview of the request, and I dived in a little deeper into the details. So starting with that future land use of the high intensity, so that northern portion of this. The intent of it is for a mix of uses with that residential focus. It's intended for densities around 14 dwelling units in the acre. And it can also include a mix of intensity within that residential. So if you think about it going from those adjacent lower intensity areas, so on the edge of a high intensity, you kind of increase towards the center or mix the different intensities within it, not having all one intensity. It's also supposed to be located where there is good access to major streets, but with pedestrian kind of walkability kept in mind. So this is going into that MR2, the high density multifamily residential zoning district aspect of it. So again, the MR2 is our most dense residential zoning district. It does align with that future land use designation of high intensity. It allows for a max of 20 dwelling units an acre. It also is a higher density. So where we've got appropriate road classifications adjacent to it. So again, we've got this sitting adjacent to a collector and major arterial roadways. So the permitted uses can range from assisted living facilities, multifamily, townhomes, nursing homes. So it does offer a variety of intensities within this zoning district that comp plan talks to. Going into the bulk regulations of the MR2 zoning district, so there are setbacks from all the different property lines. It does require parking regulations, landscape screening, architectural design and site layout review process would have to be followed for any future project that would come forward. So as projects, would come forward with this, the entire zoning code would be looked at along with compatibility with the comprehensive plan. So moving further south to that mixed use and commercial land use designation, the corresponding request here for the zoning district is that BC community business. Both of those land uses do align with the requested zoning district. So starting with the mixed use land use designation, it is a community focused commercial and service use area. It can have complementary residential uses, allows for multi-unit buildings when integrated appropriately within that commercial aspect. It also allows for 14 dwelling units in acre in density, and the height and intensity of the area are supposed to be taken into consideration when reviewing those adjacent land uses around the edges. For that area further south, kind of just north of the highway, is that commercial land use designation, and this is more focused on commercial and services that have a community and regional aspect to them. If residential is included within this specific area, it needs to be included with that commercial aspect. So not necessarily looking for standalone residential, but it would have to be incorporated within that commercial use. So that upper level dwelling, again, this is specific to that commercial land use along the highway. It also has a high site design with limited outdoor operations. So going into the requested zoning district of the community business. Again, this zoning district does align with both that mixed use and the commercial land use designation. The variety of uses allowed within the BC zoning district. Some of them are up on the screen. There's a lot more that could be included as well in this zoning district, but to highlight a few of those listed, an assisted living facility, multi-family, upper dwelling units. So you've got commercial on that first floor with residential above it. And that multi-family can sit behind kind of those commercial aspects. Banks and daycares, restaurants. Some of these are permitted as a right, some are accessory and used to other uses or conditional use with additional review to those. So with this, the scale of any future project would be reviewed under its associated land use designation. Again, making sure that those that are more in that commercial land use designation, if they are a little more bigger in scale, bigger in size, are along the highway versus further north into the development adjacent to those residential neighborhoods. And then this is the bulk regulations for the community business zoning district. Again, there are setbacks, there's open space requirements, landscaping required, parking regulations. They would have to follow the architectural design standards and site layout review process as well. So within your packet, staff had received comments from the public prior to our planning and zoning commission meeting. So those were included in that packet we received. A lot of the things brought up were questions about that MR2 area on the north side, and if that would be for the aquatic center. The aquatic center, as we saw on Tuesday from Seth, that area is still being evaluated as potential site for that. If that were to proceed forward, we come back in front of you requesting an amendment to our future land use map, along with an associated rezoning request to align those designations with that aquatic center. And this is the final process with that annexation. Currently, it still sits with that Lynn County Ag zoning district. We do need to apply some sort of Marion zoning district to this property. And the Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval 6-1.
Okay, thank you. Anyone's here to address council either in favor or opposition to the measure? Please come forward at this time. We lost the staff. Have any comments or received at the meeting?
We did receive one comment in advance of the meeting. Jacob Cameron Noyes at 799 Raleigh Lane wrote in opposition of the rezoning.
Anyone else?
I did not receive any additional ones since the Planning and Zoning Commission.
And we did have the resident who spoke at the very beginning of the meeting. Also, just noting that they're concerned. Okay. All right, we'll close the public hearing and proceed to the ordinance.
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 26-05, approving a rezoning request from Lynn County A agricultural to MR2 high density multifamily residential and BC community business for properties located north of Highway 100, south of Muda Road and east of South 31st Street, Marion, Iowa. This is brought by Atlas LP Company LLC, Atlas Limited Partnership, Atlas Building Company LC, and the H.J. Bjornson Family Trust. And this is the initial consideration.
Second.
The moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 26-05. Discussion. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, the comment the lady earlier had made, asking about whether there's gonna be any public spaces in this area. So I don't know, has there been any discussion about that, or is the appropriate time to be talking about a dedicated space for public spaces more at the development phase rather than the rezoning phase?
That would be more at the project phase, if and when a future project does come forward for this property.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was kind of understood, that will be potentially a future topic. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Mentor.
Along that line, then, that's one of my questions, and I have a second. Along that line, so will we see it under our processes? If, when the plans if they would come back for this, because I have the same thought she did, and I agree, it's very, when I see some of the examples put up there, I see a lot of sense. I do not see, and well, for commercial, when I love multi-use neighborhood opportunity, and a couple of those apartment multi-use would be like phenomenal examples of things that would go in there, as long as we have sidewalks. But I do see that there was a really nice picture of people playing in a fountain, and I'm like, well, I wonder where that's going to go. Because in the neighborhood of a part of the apartment, so does that green space, it was 20%, and then there's a 4 above it, what does that mean? And so the one we were talking about, green space, was like a.
If there was a footnote to that, I have to pull this is the quote section to see what that footnote specifically states to that. I feel like it talks to though that the setbacks don't necessarily count. We have to look at the buildable area for that open space. Those images that were shown during the high intensity or the mixed use and commercial, those are pulled from our comprehensive plan. So not necessarily something that the property owner is looking at doing, but straight out of our comprehensive plan. As far as will council see any additional items on this property? Yes and no. So there has been discussion that a sub-area plan would occur out here. We usually adopt those as a part of that process, so council would see any sub-area planning efforts come through for consideration of approval. However, if a future project comes through with or without a sub-area plan, that does with the architectural design standards and say development review process and at the planning and zoning commission level at this time per code.
So there would be a chance that we wouldn't have any say if there was extra green space or what was going to happen here once a plan was put forward. It would be stopped at the planning and zoning. The planning and zoning, which would be doing the voting. So potentially, I think that kind of comes back to what we were talking about little question that Steve had too, so I wanted clarification on that. Second thing that is kind of related, we approved this, we're still developing whether or not the Bio Center could potentially be a part of this, which I think as the residents are really a little taken aback, is that you're thinking you're gonna have this big green space across 31st Street from you, and all of a sudden now we're talking potentially that it would be more commercial, multi-use, high density. How fast could that happen? How fast could this property be developed?
Currently, we do have an agreement in place with the property owner for that piece. I'm not sure what the details are in that as regarding timing. But it is currently tied up, I would say.
Councilmember Harper, thank you. Can we go back to the slide that shows, the future land use map and versus proposed? I think, yes, this is the one. Nicole, as you were outlining what is considered part of mixed use, and then you went and discussed, what is considered part of the BC community business designation. What struck me is the types of uses, business characterization. It seemed to me they're almost equivalent. Is that a wrong belief on my part?
No, I would say what the comprehensive plan calls out for mixed use is really, I mean, it's why this BC zone district does align with our comprehensive plan, because the items that are mentioned within those land use designations do align with those permitted uses within the zone district.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
No, it does. I just wanted to confirm that I was hearing your explanation correctly. And so they seem to be essentially equivalent, I guess, to some degree. So at such point, a development plan, a detailed development plan for this area is going to be coming planning and zoning, as well as then ultimately to us. That is the point in time where concerns about green space, visual buffering, that kind of development related concern, that's when we can make sure that there's, I guess, some sort of set of protections, if you will, for the residential area that's on the west side of 35th or 31st.
Yeah, typically with this area planning efforts that we do, we've got the stakeholder, which is property owners. We often have conversations either with council and the commission, as well as we work through different things. Sometimes we do set up that working group to review elements as well. So it is a in-depth process to where staff can sit there and say, this is what we're hearing from council in this area, working with that consultant, making sure there's more open space, more gathering space, something like that, that is desired. Hopefully we have that taken care of before it would get in front of you at a council meeting. Within those, that could be also added extra buffering beyond what code requires. But otherwise, there are regulations regarding screening on different uses.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor of the initial consideration of ordinance number 26-05, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. This brings us to the second public forum this evening, which is the time set aside for comments from members of the public on any topic. Anyone here to address council, please come forward. Please take on the address if you can, please.
Jason Durrell. where the property owners at, what address do you want? Where I live? Okay, our property is 560 31st Street. Apologize, not a good public speaker, so we were just following up on some of that stuff. We have recommendation letters from the fire department and water department recommending that the easement can be removed. The utility easement we're asking will stay in place is what we're asking, but the public access would be removed. We have letters from the fire department and water department saying they would agree with us. The fire department said they would never go through our property to get to 5, I'm not sure their address, to Economy Auto. They said their direct route would be through 30th Street to get to them. When we purchased the original intent, we found out of the access easement was the city was not sure how it would be split up, or the fire department's not sure how it would be split up, so that's why they put that in there. So when we purchased the property, we've compiled a list of, you know, the traffic going through there has significantly increased. We have seen one semi go through there in the last month and a half. That was it. We have tenants that are gonna start moving in there, and multiple times have almost been hit through for the traffic going through the property, and that's why we were asking for it to be removed. The water department said as long as the utility easement is in place, that they're okay with it. There's a map on there, I'm not sure, it's up there somewhere, but there's a part of our property where they would like access to, like he said, 3 or 4 times if needed be. We weren't asking to put up a permanent structure, it was just a chain to stop the traffic flow through there. So there will be a gym going in there that will have a bunch of little kids running around. So we just there is a lot of, especially on the property where 560 meets Economy, that's where the kids are gonna be. And when they turn the corner there, nobody slows down, they don't look, so. That's, I don't know for what it's worth, I mean, yeah, if we submit something, we have to compile the list of how many times people drive through there. We have our video of it, and we also have our emails through the fire department and water department saying they are in agreement of removing the access easement. So we're there was more safety for us. We're a masonry company, so we have more construction equipment going through there. And like I said, we're gonna start having more, we're gonna lease out part of that property. And one of them, there is a gym going in there, martial arts going in there. So it's just more of a public, I mean, it's a safety thing for us, and we don't wanna take on any extra risk because someone wants to drive through to make it shorter.
You have 1 minute remaining.
So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. If I answered any other questions or.
It's been helpful, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else to address council, please come forward.
Hello, Mayor and members of the council. I'm Maya Walker, and I live, in Cedar Rapids. I knew, I'll be talking, I'm here tonight as part of the process of helping the community to heal in the wake of the tragic shooting of Saber Bernard. I knew Saber personally from high school. We graduated together at Marion High School, and I also worked with him. Many in our community did not get to hear more of Saber's life. His unstated, people that don't know him get to judge him for his worst day, our worst day. I want to read Saber's obituary so that everyone can have a glimpse of this young man's life. In loving memory of Saber Bernard, September 10, 2007 to February 4th, 2026. With broken hearts and deep love, we share the love of our beloved son, brother, grandson, nephew, cousin, and friend. Saber Bernard was tragically taken from us on February 4th, 2026, when he was shot by the police officers during a mental health crisis. Saber was born on September 10th, 2007 at St. Luke's Hospital in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. From the very beginning, he brought light, curiosity, and energy into the lives of everyone who knew him. He attended Landmark High School and Marion Independent Schools, graduating from Marion High School in May 2025. Saber's spirit was thoughtful. He loved playing basketball with his cousins, spending long days fishing with his family, and listening to music that matched his many moods. He had a unique passion for collecting beautiful rocks, always seeing value and beauty in things others overlooked. Saber loved ancient history, enjoyed reading Bible scriptures, and admired nice cars. His interests reflected both his depth and his joy for life. Saber was baptized at Antioch Church in Marion. His heart was big and his laugh unforgettable, and his little smirk was impossible to ignore. Saber is survived by his father, Marco Bernard, and his mother, Aretha Stoner, 5 siblings and 3 step-siblings, his grandparents, cousins, he grew up alongside as brothers and sisters, his aunts and uncles, and numerous friends whose lives were changed forever. While our grief is immeasurable, so is our love. Saber's life mattered, his story matters, mental health matters. We pray by sharing his memory and help spread awareness, compassion, and understanding so that no other family has to endure his pain. We carry Saber's spirit with us in every basketball game, every fishing trip, every song that plays, and every beautiful rock that catches the light. Forever loved, forever remembered, forever Saber, we love you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to address council, please come forward.
Mayor and council members. My name is Dr. Ray Goldman. I pastor the Mount Zion Church of Cedar Rapids. And I just want to stand before you and ask that you join me in a 30-second silent prayer for Sable and his family. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else to address council, please come forward.
Hello, Mayor and members of council. I'm Erica Bernard and I live in Marion. I'm writing you not only as Saber's grieving aunt, but also as a longtime resident of this community. On February 1st, my nephew was tragically killed by the police here in Marion. Since that day, my family has been living a nightmare that no one should have to endure. Alongside our grief has been something as equally painful. It's the silence. Before the police department ever reached out to us, a public narrative was released. No one asked our perspective, no one paused to sit with us as they walked up and down the street. No one even comforted us to say, we're sorry for your loss. I don't count reaching out as a post on a website or a statement in a meeting that we may not see. That silence has been more than disappointing. It's been deeply painful because in the absence of communication or grief, has been compounded with confusion and isolation. Silence leaves space for unanswered questions, doubt, and feeling that our loss doesn't matter. When people in institutions say nothing, it just feels as though choosing distance over compassion, policy and procedure over pain. I ask you to pause and truly consider what this feels like. Imagine experiencing the worst day of your life that changes your family forever, and no one says nothing. There's no acknowledgement, there's no condolences, no recognition of your pain. Imagine hurting so deeply and then just being met with silence. It makes you feel invisible, dismissed, as your suffering is like an afterthought, like an inconvenience or a threat. I've served here in Lane County, residents for 20 years as a nurse, and I've cared for people during their most vulnerable time, holding hands, wiping tears, and grieving with them. I volunteered at Marion schools, both of them, supported nonprofits, advocated for progress and unity in this community. And during a time where my own family doesn't feel like they belong here. I've always believed in showing up with compassion. I've even shown up before you talking about mental health, believing that you believe that we could do something different and better. But today I'm asking myself, is this a joke? I want justice. And it's not about, it's about I want justice. I want accountability and transparency. I want humanity. I want to ensure everybody whose life is treated with dignity, even in tragedy. It's about making sure families aren't left in silence while official statements move forward without them. And as leaders of this city, you will have the power and the responsibility to demand transparency in a timely manner. Like people serve under your oversight. You have the ability to ensure policies reflect compassion as well as procedure. Saber, Jonathan, Bernard mattered. My family matters. And creating trust between all of the residents of this community and its institution matters. I'm asking you to pursue a thorough, transparent review of the events surrounding February 4th, and not just the police report. I'm asking you to examine how my family was communicated, how our family was handled. I'm asking you to work with us to design systems to actually protect and serve our entire community. I'm asking you to lead with courage and compassion. And if you really want change, now's the moment to prove it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else to address the council, please come forward.
Hello, Mayor and members of City Council. I'm Elizabeth Essling and I'm a resident of Marion. I'm a parent in Marion, and when I heard of Saber's life ending after a police call, I immediately thought of my children and their friends of diverse backgrounds, their interactions with police, and if someday their sweet little friends could be seen as a threat instead of one of our young people. When does a child, more specifically a Black or brown child, become a threat? When do we lose seeing a sweet little child as one of our children, or what the impacted family as our family, our neighbor? On February 5th at the City Council meeting, Mr. Mayor, you made a statement prior to the moment of silence acknowledging, and I quote, the tragic incident that occurred in our community on Wednesday morning and the difficult nature of public service Difficult time for those directly impacted, as well as our city organization and our entire community. Recognizing that this loss of life is tragic and not taken lightly, that you mourn and extend our compassion to their loved ones and all impacted by this event, including the public safety professionals. That moment of silence followed in this room and extended into the community for days, for weeks, for a month now. Was your silence a choice, a directive from your attorneys, from DCI, from the Iowa Attorney General? Either way, it feels heartless and detached from being a neighbor in our community of 41,000 plus people. Within days, everyone knew the victim's name, Saber Bernard, and created stories of how and why his life was cut short in our community at the hands of a police officer. We have yet to learn the officer's name, their history in the department, their training, and if they and their family have also been provided with compassion, as there undoubtedly is trauma and grief in all of this, for all of us, as individuals and as a Marion community. I hope this community can heal and show compassion for Saber and his family. And remember, this is one of all of our children, one of all of our families, one of all of our neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Mayor and members of council. I'm Anna Clymer, I'm a resident of Marion. I stand before you representing a Marion community that is mourning, exasperated, and demanding answers. Saber Bernard, an 18-year-old with his whole life ahead of him, experienced a mental health crisis. His family will never be the same, and we recognize that neither will be the Marion Police Department, leading to a community that is deeply, righteously frustrated. Saber didn't have the benefit of a liaison to de-escalate and provide follow-up care. The encounter was anything but compassionate. He was killed by the very system tasked to protect and serve. As his aunt, who is also a healthcare provider, a mental health and community advocate, Erica stated, and has stated previously, with so much at stake, we want this moment of grief to have a purpose. 5 years ago, our Marion Alliance stood here and told you mental health responses weren't an add-on. It was a demand for justice and visibility. 9 months ago, May 2025, we stood here again. We thanked you for the 988 initiatives, but we issued a stern warning. Awareness is not enough. We told you that without 24-hour access and a fundamental shift in mindset, these proclamations were just performative words on paper. The reality is, we were told the Foundation 2 liaison and additional training for mental health and behavioral health needs was progress in our community. But when one of our children needed that progress most, the system reverted to deadly force. Marion hasn't seen an officer-involved shooting, I believe, since 2001. That led some to believe that Marion was somehow immune to the patterns and trends experienced in other jurisdictions, just like our own. That false sense of security ended on February 4th. As you begin your strategic planning, we need to know, how will this tragedy change your response model beyond just providing a therapy dog? Will community members be included in the strategic plan and policy review, or will changes be drafted behind closed doors? Who is the contractor being hired to oversee the strategic plan? Your strategic plan must match your words and goals for the community, and officers must have the support they need as well. We need 24/7 crisis response. Crisis does not keep a 9 to 5 schedule. Clinical professionals must be available every hour of every day. A transparent audit. We need public accounting of why the response practices, existing policies, and liaison framework failed to prevent this tragedy and fatality. True integration. Mental health training must move from check the box exercise to a fundamental shift in how we define a safe resolution. We seek justice for Saber and his family. We also recognize the trauma held by the officer, the department, and our entire city. We cannot go back to February 4th, but we can ensure that no other family has to stand at this podium in front of elected officials, a police chief, a city manager, and a mayor and ask why their child's crisis was met with a bullet instead of compassion, a trained response, and care. Thank you.
Anyone else to address council, please come forward.
To the mayor, members of this council, thank you for giving me the space to speak. I wish I was here under different circumstances. I wish my voice today wasn't shaped by grief. I stand here as someone whose family has been torn apart 3 times by the same kind of tragedy. We are not witnessing in the death of 18-year-old Saber Bernard of Marion. 3 of my cousins, each living with mental illness, were killed by police during moments of crisis. There were 3 men who were loved and needed. Their children are growing up without fathers, and now their grandchildren will never have the opportunity to get to know them. And one cousin who served this country in the Army never even had the chance to start a family of his own. When I heard about Saber, it felt like the same wound was being reopened. Another young life having a mental health crisis was taken where patients could have saved a life. But instead, force was used in just 3 minutes. Saber was only 18 years old, a graduate of Marion High School just in 2025. He was on his way to becoming who he was meant to be, not who people thought he was. Saber was someone's child, a beloved family member, and a friend. In his moments of crisis, he needed understanding and time. He needed someone trained to see the difference between danger and distress. Instead, he was met with an officer who escalated the situation without truly assessing where Saber's mind frame was. This is not just a story about one officer. This is about a system that continues to send officers into mental health emergencies without the tools, training, and mindset required to keep people alive. Across the country, we have models like crisis intervention team training and police mental health collaboration training programs that teach officers how to recognize mental health systems, slow situations down, communicate effectively, and use de-escalation as the first response. These programs exist because we know mental health crises require a different approach. They require patience, empathy, and skill. But too far often, officers receive only a fraction of this training or none at all. Because of this, people in crisis are treated as threats instead of human beings who are overwhelmed, afraid, or unable to process what's happening around them. When training is optional, lives become optional. Patience is not taught or practiced. Without adequate and extensive training, we fail to prepare officers for the reality of a mental health crisis, yet we create the conditions for tragedy. Saber's death was not inevitable, and neither was my cousin's death. These were preventable losses that happened because the system did not require what the moment demanded. We cannot keep telling families we're sorry or going silent or ignoring them while refusing to change the practices that led to these deaths. We can no longer keep accepting this as the cost of doing nothing. So today, I am proposing to this council
1 minute remaining.
to act with courage and urgency, require comprehensive mental health crisis training for every officer, not just volunteers. Establish clear, enforceable de-escalation protocols that prioritize communication and safety. We cannot change what happened to Sabre, but we can change what happens going forward. We can choose to build a system that protects people in crisis instead of punishing them. We can choose to value life over fear, training over reaction, and compassion over force. I am humbly and prayerfully asking you on behalf of my cousins, Dr. Hamilton, Todd Rogers, Anthony Hill, my family, and now Sabre Bernard, and on behalf of every family whose lives this nightmare choose to change. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else address now, please come forward.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. As we all know, Marion is always evolving as a community. Our population, schools, housing are all expanding. And with growth comes more public safety challenges. Officers are increasingly the first responders to mental health crisis, a role they were never originally designed to serve. Today, our officers are often the first and sometimes only responders to mental health crisis. While they are professionals, we must acknowledge that they are not social workers. Two recent incidents here in Eastern Iowa highlight why effective policy training and transparency matters. The February 4th incident here in Marion involving Sabre Bernard and a recent incident in Iowa City, a separate incident involving the same category of weapon, resulted in a markedly different outcome. To be clear, we don't know all the details. So while it is good and necessary that these cases are being handled through appropriate investigative channels, it is also reasonable for our community to ask broader questions about the policies that guided those outcomes. Specifically, how many hours of crisis intervention training do our officers receive? Is this training mandatory for all officers? Is it reoccurring, and under what timeframes? When was the last comprehensive review for the use of force policy? We all know policy is often reviewed after a major incident, but is policy revision triggered by data and incident trends preemptively? We have to recognize that while a lawful force functions as a standard for compliance and shield against liability, it shouldn't be the only benchmark for successful resolution. Our focus should instead be on how to ensure our policies provide the necessary support for both the responders and the individuals involved to reach the safest possible conclusion every single time. So what I'm asking from our Marion Council today and what they should consider is investment. What I mean by investment is commitment to reoccurring scenario-based de-escalation and crisis intervention training for all officers, proactive review. And proactive review meaning establishing a formalized regular schedule for policy reviews so we are ahead of the curve, not reacting to crisis. Oversight and access. This council should have a direct say in these policies, frameworks. These discussions should be reflected in accessible council agendas so the public can see how these matters are handled, and reporting. When significant mental health related incidents occur, particularly those involving use of force, injury, arrest, or involuntary commitment, provide timely, clear after action summaries that explains the rationale behind the decisions made, outline what policies and training guided those actions, and identify any lessons learned or areas for improvement. Transparency in these reviews strengthens public trust and helps ensure better outcomes in the future. By prioritizing these steps, Marion has the opportunity to lead by demonstrating that growth and public safety reform can happen together. Remember that transparency and accountability are tools for improving outcomes, supporting the community, including officers and staff, and ensuring public trust.
Thank you. Everyone else address the council, please come forward.
Excuse my voice, I'm just kind of hoarse. My name is Eric Strong and I live in Marion. First, I want to make sure you understand that Saberstead has meant a ripple effect across our community. We are a small enough town that we have layers of connections across families. We don't need 6 degrees of separation. We usually find our connections in just 1 or 2 degrees. For me, young Saber was a student in one of the classes I was in when he was younger. But more importantly, any of us with empathy, knowledge of practices and trends across the country, and experiences of our own. Right here, is that we could have easily been in Saber's shoes. And black woman, living there, and a also person. And woman, that so struggle with mental health. The speed in which the MPD acted with lethal force could have easily been me. If the book had been called to a situation that I was struggling with, they would have thought they could easily think that I'm threatening and I'm not. That's terrifying to me. Please understand that when I say I'm terrified, this is not hyperbole. My fear is based on evidence, generations of evidence, national studies, local experiences. What happened to Saber could have happened to me. It could happen to my kids. Saber was one of me. I'm an educator, and they're all babies. This is not acceptable. Second, I have to speak about how disheartening it is that the family has been treated with such dismissal over the past month. It was almost a month, a whole month, before the family was even contacted about questions again. And they had never been contacted directly by the council, by any of the officials, the staff members, or anybody here today. When did we become so hurt, so callous? Why are we favoring protection of a system over sheltering a family from further trauma? The North family and the broader community are owed an apology for the lack of follow-up and follow-through of their policies and procedures and communications. Finally, I have to say this. While the lack of transparency and communication is likely because the system is protecting itself, I'm not convinced that this process made the lives of the officers involved any better. They're struggling too. This is a community issue. This is a Lake County issue. This is a Marion issue. They too have been harmed. I am hopeful that whenever we can come together, whenever we can come together as a community, we lead to change in the system that allows to treat people, officers, as humans, as true protectors of public safety. Members of the council, I stood before you in May last year discussing what I thought was promising advances in the way of our community addresses mental health crisis. And I stand here today disappointed in the lack of transparency and progress since that time. You all said you was gonna do something and it didn't happen. And now we're here today. We can't let that happen again. We're not trying to attack or intimidate you. We just want you to know that we're not going anywhere until we see a true change in Marion. Please do better. Thank you.
Mayor and members of the council. I'm Cersei Stumbo. I live in the Marion Township precinct, and my husband is a teacher at Linn-Mar High School. What we've been hearing tonight is a plea for action, a plea for new systems, a plea for justice. Having just scratched the surface tonight, it is clear that our systems failed Sabre Bernard and are failing us. Some would say that the system is doing exactly what it was designed for. Well, I believe we can redesign our systems with intentionality, with humanity, and with evidence. I lived directly in Marion from 2015 to 2024. During that time, from 2017 to 2020, after Jeremy Mitchell was shot by a police officer in Cedar Rapids, I was part of a community leaders group who worked alongside law enforcement, including the Marion and Cedar Rapids police chiefs, the sheriff, the county attorney, and others. We met regularly to work together to find solutions to the problems that had led to that tragic encounter. Sadly, the pandemic interrupted that group's progress, and then the death of George Floyd enlivened new energies, leading to the creation of the Marion Alliance for Racial Equity right here, called it MAR, and Advocates for Social Justice, or ASJ, in Cedar Rapids, which took up the mantle in our respective municipalities. As part of MAR, I then served on the Marion Community Equity Task Force from 2020 to 2021. While some good relationships were created as an accidental outcome of the task force, we actually needed a different kind of collaboration to create intentional relationships and to implement over the long term innovative systems change. 1 year was not going to make it happen. And the thing is that this really is not just a Marion issue. This issue is before all of us, and we can be better together. We can and should collaborate as a county. The pre-COVID law enforcement roundtable had been making real progress countywide. Now, it is true that individuals and individual offices and divisions have continued their individual work since 2021. And new initiatives like the Linn County's Mental Health Access Center here in Marion have been taken up. But our community as a whole would have been better off if the countywide action group had been reconvened. In response to the heartfelt pleas tonight, I encourage you to join with us in a proactive process to design new systems that help our community to better serve the mental health needs of everyone, community members and first responders alike, that take into the considerations the realities we face around race, around gender, around economics, and that truly lead to public safety for all. We look forward to hopefully working together in the future. Thank you.
Anyone else that doesn't council, please come forward.
All right. Council and all, my name is Marion Blue. I've been, before you guys before, 2 years ago, when we gave a proclamation to the NAACP. I do not represent the NAACP. I'm here for family because, my brother Dietrich's sons are cousins and nephews or whatever to the Bernard family. I don't even know all the connections, you know. But I just think that some things need to be done a little different so that the family get close. And I do have a granddaughter who just graduated a couple of years ago from Marion High, which means she's about to have a baby, which means I also have a grandchild here. You know, and I come here representing the family. My son happened me everything. Part of this group that they had meeting concerning what happened to Sable. He's currently in the hospital, so he couldn't make it. So we said, "Dad, you should go." You know, and so that's why I'm here, because I think that, as it was mentioned, we went through that Mitchell family, or we were able to at least be able to, do some type of cameras, whatever happened. So we can look at it and see, you know, and I think that also that's going to help mental health advocates to see how those people that have mental issues and how to handle that situation. Not to do this and do that, you know, I also work with a group called on Snap now, we work with, and unfortunately, as a pattern I was willing that we work with, Black men, you know, and young kids, and we have to teach them how to interact with the police, you know, because too many Black men are dying, you know, in interaction with the police, whether you've got a mental issue or what, you know. So I just hope that some things can come out of this, and we hope the family be closer, you know, and I just pray for each and every one of you, and I'm here to also support the pastor, Pastor Ray Coleman, you know, and he's come here from Houston and hit the ground running. He's got us meet with all the churches up and down Sierra Moon on a regular basis. Because we, you know, really need to work together. All right, God bless you.
Anyone else to address council, please come forward. Is there anyone else who would like to address council, please come forward. Okay, seeing that no one else is coming forward, I think we'll close this part of the public forum. And we'll proceed to the council comments. Start with Council Member Skinner. Okay, this brings us to the conclusion of the regular part of the meeting. We do have a closed session.
The mayor has to adjourn the closed session, engagement as permitted under section 21.5 1C of the Code of Iowa.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the closed session regarding litigation as permitted under section 21.5 1C of the Code of Iowa. And we have the legal counsel statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. I reviewed the proposed subject matter of the closed session and find the same to be appropriate under Iowa Code section 21.5 1C.
Before we take the roll call vote, any discussion? The roll call, please.
Mr. Messiman.
Yes.
Mr. Union.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Mayor Adalowski. Mr. Brandt.
Yes.
Ms. Menzer. Yes. Mr. Harper.
Yes.
Okay, we are now going to adjourn the closed session. Thank you.